One of the biggest problems we have is that when we think about Gen Z, we're thinking about kids. But in reality, the oldest members of this generation are turning 30 this year. Welcome to back pain. They're getting promotions and they're starting to run the meetings. And we need to keep that in perspective.
Hey, tell me more.
The first generation to grow up online is now the generation that's becoming the leaders. So picture in your head for a moment the Gen Z middle manager running their first meeting. They're prepared, they're values driven, they're probably a little bit uncomfortable with conflict. You're looking at someone who maybe knows what good leadership looks like and maybe what good leadership feels like, but they haven't gotten the reps to exhibit that leadership, to be that leader. This is Gen Z in the boardroom. We have to move past the idea of the entry-level worker because Gen Z is moving into middle management. There's a generational leadership shift that is starting to happen. Boomers are on their way out, not quite all the way. Xers are firm in their careers. Millennials are well established, and as everyone is trending upward, so is Gen Z. And now they're taking on leadership roles, and now they're being asked to do more. And I think it raises two really big questions for us. Are we prepared to be led by Gen Z? And have we prepared them for leadership? We've seen what poor leadership looks like. Unprepared leadership, scared leadership, unqualified leadership, immature leadership. Listen, I can do this all day. We know what bad leadership looks like. And now the question is, as Gen Z moves into this place, are they ready to be the leaders? Gen Z is bringing something new to the leadership table. I think they're bringing three particular traits. One is clear values. Gen Z, by and large, they know what they believe, they know what they stand for, they know the hills they're willing to die on, and that is a strength in leadership. The second thing is they come with emotional intelligence. Things like empathy are not foreign to Gen Z. In fact, they lead from that place. By and large, Gen Z looks at you not just as another employee, but as someone who should be cared for. That's a big deal. And the last thing they bring is transparency. Transparency is the default for Gen Z. They don't wear the mask of inauthenticity, or they don't wear a mask of authenticity, they live it. They say, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I'm about, and what I believe, and here I am at your front door. Previous generations may have looked at these things as soft or unnecessary, but in the multi-generational workplace, this is exactly what's needed. I've been harping on this for the past few months, but if you are going to lead teams across generations, you got to know who's in front of you. You got to know what they believe and why they believe it. You have to know their cares and their causes and their concerns so that you can show up and be the best version of yourself for them, but also get the best version of themselves. Naturally, Gen Z is stepping into leadership with some significant gaps. And it's not because of any character defaults on their ends, but it's because we all do. None of us land where we are. No, we had to be taught, we had to be led. We needed people who would come and help us fill those gaps. So if you're a boomer, an Xer, a millennial, don't look at the gaps in the Gen Z leadership. Don't look at the ways in which they fumbled their way through the leadership process as a failing or a shortcoming, but look at it as an opportunity. An opportunity for you to teach what you know, to teach what someone taught you. Don't assume that inexperience is the same as incompetence. Sometimes we just need to learn. I think a humble mindset and posture would remind us that we didn't just land here, that we didn't wake up with all the skills. And for a generation that grew up kind of watching perfection all the time, remember, this is the first generation to grow in the age of social media. And their entire lives, they've watched perfection and they've compared everyone else's highlight reels to their behind the scenes footage. So when you talk to a lot of people in Gen Z right now, particularly that 20 to 30 age group, a lot of them, they express these feelings that they're behind, that they're not where they should be, because they look online and in these parasocial relationships, they're like, well, this person did this and this person did this, and I haven't quite done that yet. And in reality, they're probably right where they need to be. And they're not as far behind as they think they are. But when you're constantly seeing people ahead of you, you assume that you must not be keeping up. And the same is true in leadership. They step into these roles and they feel unprepared and they feel like maybe they don't know everything that they should. And in reality, what they need is just us to walk with them. So boomers, Xers, millennials, when we first stepped into leadership, we were unprepared. We didn't have it all together. We would lean on that colleague and say, hey, can you help me out here? And now Gen Z is asking for the same thing from us. The question was never about whether or not Gen Z is ready. It was always whether or not we were going to be willing to help them get there. This is what multi-generational leadership looks like. This is what generational fluency looks like. It's not just understanding the generation below you and the generation above you, but it's investing in the person leading alongside you. If you need help with this, I offer coaching. This is why I'm here. If you're in Gen Z and you're trying to figure out what does it mean for me to be a leader, what are my values, what am I living from, how do I do this well, I got you. If you're a millennial, an Xer, or a boomer, and you're trying to figure out how do I work with these Gen Z employees well, how do I work with these other people well, I got you. If you're asking questions about your own leadership and you're saying, how do I improve in this? How do I get better? I got you. This is what I do. So, check out my website, check out the links in the bios, all the things. But maybe you're that person who's sitting here and you're thinking to yourself, listen, Gen Z just needs to get it together because I did. I'm the self-made person. And even though we've read all the books, The Tyranny of Merit and Outliers, and we know that none of us are actually self-made people, you seem to look at Gen Z and think, if I suffered, they need to suffer too. Gosh, what a miserable existence. My grandmother used to say, misery loves company. So you go on with your bad self. Because what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.